Hi my dear friends, let's start now amendments in relation to exemptions under the GST applicable from May 2023 exam onwards for CA inter and final, followed by for CMA inter and final for their June 2023 exam onwards. Of course, these amendments also be applicable for our CS executive as well as CS professional examination from June 2023 exam onwards. Let us start now amendments under the GST in relation to exemptions. Presenting here sector wise the way in which I used to present in the class exemptions sector wise. I am presenting same slides with amended provisions, referring only amendments which are applicable for our coming exams. Dear friends, under the government sector, as you are aware of that, supplier of services by central government, state government or union territory as a whole government or a local authority, if they provide the services which are not exempted, which is not reverse charge, of course forward charge, which are as follows. Indian Postal Department provide the services by way of speed post, express parcel post, agency services, life insurance services to a person other than the government. Here there is an amendment. My dear friends, if you refer here carefully, under this forward charge, what amendment here taken place means, services by Department of Post is a forward charge. Speed post, express parcel post, life insurance services, agency services provided to a person other than central government, state government or unitary. This particular provision has been omitted. If you refer, you will understand here, my dear sir. What is omitted is the following. Speed post removed, express postal post removed, life insurance removed, agency services removed, resulting that services by Department of Post, whatever services they provided to whoever may be the recipient, is taxable forward charge, supplier being a Department of Post liable to pay GST. There is one exemption is given from 18th July 2022, which is as follows. Here one exemption is available. If you refer here carefully, from 18th July 2022 onwards, services by the Department of Post by way of postcard, inland letter, book post and ordinary post, envelopes weight less than 10 grams qualify from exemption. Only this exemption has been granted. If Indian Postal Department provide the money order services, Indian Postal Department provide the speed post services or any other services other than this postcard, inland letter, book post and ordinary post, envelopes weighing less than 10 grams, only exemption. Even ordinary post, the weight is a book post, the weight is more than 10 grams or equal to 10 grams is a taxable forward charge. Even if the Indian Postal Department provide these services to the Indian Defence, also be taxable. Indian Postal Department provide these services to state government, central government, union is taxable. Forward charge no exemption except this particular postcard, inland card, inland letter, book post and ordinary post. Envelopes weighing less than 10 grams only exemption. Further, my dear friends, after this exemptions further referring here, it means to say that wherever by speed post, express parcel post, life insurance, agency services comes into picture, which is omitted. Not only in this entry, wherever it is going to appear, services by Department of Post by way of speed post, express parcel post, life insurance services, alien services has been omitted. That means services provided by Department of Post is a forward charge. The scope of the supply to tax has been enlarged. Further, my dear friends, referring to you, in the entertainment sector, what exemptions has been taken place here means one minute exemption. As you are aware of that, FIFA under 17 Women's World Cup 2020, which is yet to be held. That's why whenever rescheduled is inserted from 18 July 2022, that means admission to the FIFA under 17 Women's World Cup, whenever is conducted in India or outside India, as the case may be, the admission to that fee is qualified from exemption. Further, my dear sir, under the entertainment sector, one important amendment has been taken place. Services by way of training or coaching in recreational activities, time pass activities relating to arts or culture is exempted, provided if it is provided by an individual, inserted from 18th July 2022. That means if recreational activities relating to sports or culture provided by a corporate company or a particular w.e.f. or other than an individual is taxable. If provided by an individual only, exempted from 18 July 2022 is an amendment. Further, my dear sir, transportation of passenger sector, under that minute amendment has been taken place. What amendment here taken place? Here, passengers embarking or terminating in an airport located in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura or Bagdora located in West Bengal are exempted. It is either by economic class or by first class. It was exempted. Now, from 18th July 2022 onwards, if it is by air, terminating or embarking from these northeast states by air in economic class, only qualify exemption, first class taxable. If I am traveling from Chennai to Arunachal Pradesh or Assam, Dispur, if I am traveling by air from Chennai to Dispur, Assam, in first class taxable, economic class exempted. Further, my dear friends, tour and travel services. Now, as you are aware of that, a Indian tour operator offered the tour to a foreign nationalist in foreign country, qualify exemption in India. Repeating, Indian tour and travel operator offered the tour to a foreign nationalist in foreign country, qualify from exemption in India. It is continuing. Apart from that, if Indian tour operator offered the tour to a foreign nationalist, partly in India, partly outside India. Earlier, because of the place of supply concept, fully taxed on Indian tour operator. To give the helping hand to the tour operator, tour and travel operator, a new provision has been inserted giving exemption to tour and travel operator who offer the tour to a foreign nationalist in India as well as outside India, to the extent of outside India tour conducted by Indian tour operator to foreign nationalist is qualified exemption. If I refer this point, you will understand. With effect from 18 July 2022, tour operator service which is performed partly in India and partly outside India, supplied by a tour operator to a foreign tourist to the extent of the value of tour operator services which is performed outside India is exempted from GST. Here they given, provided that value of the tour operator service performed outside India shall be such proportion of the total consideration charged for the entire tour which is equal to the proportion which the number of days for which the tour operator is performed outside India has to the total number of days comprising the tour, or 50% of the total consideration charged for the entire tour, whichever is less, to that extension exemption. To that extent is exemption. Sir, understandably not understand, sir. What is it is going on? You are reading a para. I will tell you, my dear sir. Don't worry at all. It is a very simplified one. If you carefully look into that, it is very simple. They said, number of days taken into account. How many days in India? How many days outside India? Outside India, how many days you conduct the tour for a foreign nationalist? That divided by total number of days, multiply the value of the consideration. What proportion attributable to the number of days for foreign tour to a foreign nationalist is qualified for exemption if that value is less than or equal to 50% of the value of total consideration. Very simple. Now the question arises, sir, how to compute the number of days? If it is 2 days, 6 hours outside India, there they said, provided further that in making the above calculations, any duration of time equal to or exceeding 12 hours shall be considered as one full day, and any duration of time less than 12 hours shall be taken as half a day. 24 hours, in that 12 hours and exceeding full one day, less than 12 hours half day, for proportionate application. That this is only applicable for foreign tour number of days, not for India. In India, conduct the tour number of days. That is important. They say very clearly, understand here, provided that value of the tour operator service performed outside India shall be such proportion of the total consideration charged for the entire tour which is equal to the proportion which the number of days for which the tour is performed outside India. Tour is performed outside India. That is important to note. For that number of days computation, this provision is applicable. Got the clarity, my dear friends? Don't worry. I will explain to you this particular concept in diagrammatic presentation. Just look and understand. Very simple. Look here. Example 1. CBIC given example that only I am presenting here for your kind consideration in diagrammatic presentation in a simplified manner, which is my profession. Now look here. Now look here. Supplier of service, Nambiar and Tour, Nambiar Tour and Travels, Cochin, Kerala from India. Provide these services to Mr. Trump, USA, foreign tourist. Where the tour is conducted? Outside India for 2 days, in India for 3 days. Tour operator service supplied. Nambiar Tour and Travel Services from Kerala, from India, provide the services to foreign tourist. 3 days in India, 2 days outside India, namely Nepal. Entire fee consideration is 1 lakh rupee received. Now, earlier, before 18 July 2022, fully taxable, which is now made into 2 proportions. The value attributable to the foreign country tour and travel for a tour operator, for a particular foreign nationalist conducted by a tour operator from India, is exempted. How? Look here. 1 lakh multiplied by number of days outside India. How many days? 2 days. That is numerator. Divided by total number of days, 5 days, equal to 40,000 or 50% of the total value of 1 lakh. Whichever is less. Which is less? 40,000, which is exempted. And the balance value of rupees 60,000 is taxable. Is clear, my dear sir? Further, my dear sir, example 2. Example 2 also will have. Same, Nambiar tour and travel operator from Cochin, Kerala, India, provider of service to foreign tourist Mr. Trump from USA. Tour operators is supplied. 2 days in India, 2 days in India, as well as 3 nights in Nepal. 2 days in India and 3 nights in Nepal. Partly in India, partly outside India. Total consideration charge is rupees 1 lakh. How much is taxable? Means proportion. Total consideration multiplied by number of days outside India. There is only numerator always. Divided by total number of days. So 3 by 5, which comes here rupees 60,000 or 50% of the value of the consideration, total consideration 50,000. 60,000 proportionate value attributable to the foreign country tour or 50% of the total consideration 50,000. Among the two, 60,000 or 50,000, whichever is less. Which is less? 50,000, which is exempted. The balance is taxable. 50,000 taxable. Example 3. Be careful, sir. Example 3 is very important, my dear sir. Give the attention here by understanding. Supplier of service as usual, our Nambiar Tour and Travel from Cochin, Kerala, provide these services to Mr. Trump, foreign tourist who is from USA. 2.5 days in India, 3 days in Nepal. Now, total consideration charged for this is rupees 1 lakh. In the given case, how to understand this? Dear friends, here only be careful. By referring 2.5 days, 2.5 days means what? 6 hours. I mean, out of a 24 hours, 12 hours and above we will fill. Right? 0.5 means out of a, it means 50% of 24 hours means 12 hours. 12 hours and above come to 1 rupee, one particular day. Here, be careful. The number of days 2.5 in India, which is not numerator, resulting that it should not be converted into 1 day. The proportion attributable to foreign tour alone convert into 1 day if it is 12 hours and above. If less than 12 hours, half of the day. Now 1 lakh multiplied by number of days outside India, Nepal 3 divided by 5.5 days, 54,545 or 50% of the total value of consideration 50,000, whichever is less. Which is less? 50,000, which is exempted. Balance 50,000 taxable. Repeating, for a numerator, always we are taking here foreign tour number of days. There 12 hours and above convert into 1 day. Less than 12 hours, half day. That example which I am presenting here now. Example 4. Tour operator services supplied by Nambiar Tour and Travel Operator from Cochin, Kerala from India to a recipient of service who is Mr. Trump USA, foreign tourist. There 2 days in India and 2.5 days in Nepal. So the numerator is what? Numerator 2.5. When the numerator is 12 hours and above, because 2.5 days means here so exactly 12 hours. 12 hours and above. That means 2 days, 48 hours plus 12 hours, 2.5 days. There it is converted into 1 day, full day. Because numerator, no, it is our foreign country tour, number of days, numerator 2.5 converted into 3, round off to 3. So 3 days divided by 5, multiply by 1 lakh, 60,000 or 50% of the total value of consideration, namely here 50,000. Among the two, whichever is less, 50,000 is the less, which is exempted. Balance 50,000 is taxable. That's why I mentioned here the days of 2.5 had been rounded off to 3, since any duration of the time equal to or exceeding 12 hours shall be considered as full day. Got the clarity, my dear friends? Again I am telling you, this rounding off number of days is for tour conducted outside India. Number of days is only applicable, not for in India tour conducted. It is a favor to the taxpayer. The above amendment is exemption. In exemption is a encouraging move from the government to reduce the undue burden of tax on the industry. Is a helping hand also. Is a pro amendment, one way or the other. Got the clarity, my dear friends? Further, referring here, transportation of goods sector. What is amendment here taking place means, if you refer here, transportation of goods by rail or by vessel, there are so many are exempted. Here one is not matching with the transportation of goods by road. Here transportation of goods by rail or vessel, transportation of goods by road, by rail or vessel. In the given case, the following are exempted: relief material, defense material, newspapers, that and this. Railway equipments and material also be exempted prior to 18 July 2022. From 18 July 2022 onwards, even though railway equipments or material transported by rail or vessel is also be taxable, exemption has been omitted. Got the clarity? Railway equipments or material exemption has been omitted if it is transported by rail or vessel. If you transported these railway equipments or material by road, already taxable. Is clear? Further, my dear friends, transportation of goods by road, namely GTA services. There are so stringent provisions, difficult for us to explain to the students. By giving so many examples, we should explain. Now the headache has been removed. The exemption has been omitted here. With effect from 18th July 2022, exemption granted omitted. That is, from 18th July 2022, what was exempted now omitted. What are they? Transportation of goods by road, namely GTA. Goods where the consideration charged for transportation on a consignment transported in a single carriage does not exceed 1500. What was exempted now taxable. Followed by goods where the consideration charged for transportation of all such goods for a single consignee not exceeding 750 also be omitted. That means these two are taxable. Whatever may be the value is taxable if the goods transported by GTA, by road, goods transport by road by GTA is taxable if the freight is even rupees 250 is taxable, irrespective of a consignee, irrespective of a single carriage. Except the goods are basically exempted, remaining all taxable. Goods carriage in a single carriage does not exceed 1500 or for a consignee not exceeding 750. These two amendments, these two exemptions omitted from 18 July 2022 is taxable. Further, my dear friends, amendments. Here, residential dwelling amendment taken place. Services by way of renting of residential dwelling for use as a residence is also be exempt from GST. However, from 18 July 2022 onwards, except where the residential dwelling is rented to a registered person, meaning thereby if the residential dwelling is given for residence purpose to a particular registered person, it is taxable, even though the nature of supply of service residential nature, residential property, residential nature, given for residential purpose, but the recipient here is registered person, no, then the recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM. Exemption not applicable. Exemption is applicable only when residential property given for residential use to an unregistered person, then only exemption is continued. Irrespective of the supplier of service, he may be a registered person or unregistered person, immaterial, which I am simplifying here. Nature of supply. Renting of residential dwelling use as residence. Supplier may be a registered person or may be a registered person, immaterial. Recipient registered person, yes sir, then RCM applicable, taxable from 18 July 2022. 18 July 2022 onwards. Sir, supplier is a registered person, recipient is a unregistered person. Supplier is a registered person, recipient is the unregistered person, sir. Is it so? Very good, exempted. The supplier unregistered person, supplier immaterial with a registered unregistered in the given case, as long as residential property given as a residence to a unregistered person, exemption continued, even though the supplier may be registered, may be unregistered. Supplier status immaterial, recipient status is important, and the purpose of letting out is important. Is clear, my dear friends? Further referring to here, services by a hotel, inn, guest house, club, campsite, or whatever name you called, for residential or lodging purpose, having value of supply of a unit accommodation per day, per unit, 1000 rupees, was exempted, but from 18th July 2022 onwards taxable, meaning thereby in the given case here, Taj Coromandel, a 5-star hotel, a 7-star hotel, providing their rooms, small rooms, per day per room 800 rupees 800 per day per room, was exempted prior to 18 July 2022. From 18 July 2022, hey Mr. Taj Coromandel, you provide the services of letting out of your hotel, guest house, inn, campsite, whatever name you called, per day per room rupees 800. Yes sir, taxable, pay the GST. That means, simple to say that this exemption less than or equal to rupees 1000 omitted. But be careful, my dear friends. Services by a hotel, inn, guest house, campsite, club, or by whatever name called for residential lodging purpose, having value of supply of a unit accommodation per day per room less than equal to rupees 1000, omission from exemption is in general case. But when you talk about the section 12AA of the Income Tax Act or section 12AB of the Income Tax Act, section 1023 of the Income Tax Act, where they provide these services, I will tell you by showing also right now for your kind consideration. Right now I will show you, my dear. Here, in case of charitable sector, is there no, my dear? renting of precincts of a religious place meant for general public. Rent per day per room less than equal to rupees 1000, rent per month less than equal to rupees 10,000, renting of halls or open area per day less than equal to rupees 10,000. The exemption is continued. This exemption, what you understand here, is continued. But hotel, inn, guest house, campsite, club, whatever name you called, rating out for per day per room other than renting of precincts of a religious place meant for general public is taxable. If renting of precincts for religious place meant for general public, rent per day per room even less than or equal to rupees 1000, exemption here is continued for section 12AA or 12AB of the Income Tax Act or section 1023 BB of the Income Tax Act. For these organizations, this exemption is continued. Further, my dear friends, referring to you the exemptions. Under the banking sector, mind-blowing amendments has been taken place. If you refer here, exemptions withdrawn. All types of service supplied by Reserve Bank of India (RBI) omitted from exemption from 18 July. Likewise, import of services by RBI in relation to management of foreign exchange reserves omitted from exemption, thereby taxable. In case of import of services, reverse charge. Supply of services in India, forward charge. All type of services supplied by Reserve Bank of India, unless it is specifically exempt elsewhere. For example, Reserve Bank of India charging the interest on repo, which is not a consideration to tax in the given case, which is exempted because it is not a supply. Is clear, my dear friends? What is taxable under the forward charge or reverse charge, as the case may be. Further the given from 18 July 2022, the service supplied by SEBI, Security Exchange Board of India, by way of protecting the interest of investor in securities and to promote the development of and to regulate the securities market, the exemption was there, now omitted from 18th July 2022. Service of SEBI, exemption has been withdrawn. Got the clarity, my dear friends? Further, in the case of insurance sector, there are exemptions has been omitted. What exemption has been omitted from 18th July 2022 onwards? If you refer here this point, services provided by IRDA, namely Insurance Regulatory Authority of India, to insurers, exemption omitted from exemption. Is clear, my dear friends? IRDA, SEBI, RBI exemptions has been withdrawn from 18 July 2022 onwards. Further, my dear sir, agricultural sector, what exemptions has been withdrawn from 18th July 2022 onwards means, here earlier there are so many services like the coffee powder, processed products such as tea, black tea, white tea, like that, warehousing, storage, warehousing exemption. Now it has been omitted. Only the following three are exempted: cereals and pulses, fruits, vegetables. With effect from 18th July 2022 onwards, from 18th July 22 onwards, services provided by way of storage or warehousing of cereals, pulses, fruits and vegetables are exempted from GST, meaning thereby the following are taxable: processed products such as a tea, that may be black tea, white tea, as the case may be; processed coffee beans or powder, pulses, dehusked or split, jaggery, processed spices, processed dry fruits and cashew nuts, etc. fall outside the definition of the agricultural produce. and therefore the exemption from the GST is not available to their loading, packing. However, from 18 July 2022, exemption is also not available to their storage and warehousing except pulses, fruits and vegetables. Got the clarity, my dear sir? As simple as this. Further, we have amendment here. From 18th July 2022 onwards, services by way of fumigation in a warehouse of agricultural produce exemption has been omitted. From 18 July, exemption fumigation of agricultural produce in warehouse exemption was there, now omitted from 18th July 2022. Further, my dear friends, in the case of healthcare sector, mind-blowing amendments has been taken place. They wanted to tax even on the pain of the patient. Healthcare sector, specified service provided by cord blood bank have been exempted from the levy. However, this exemption omitted from 18 July 2022. Service provided by cord blood banks by way of preservation of stem cells or any other services in relation to such preservation is taxable from 18th July 2022. Simple. Further, another mind-blowing amendment. Services provided by way of provided by the operator of the common biomedical waste treatment facility to a clinical establishment by way of treatment or disposal of biomedical waste or the process incidental thereto, exemption from GST which is omitted, that exemption omitted from 18th July 2022 onwards. That means operator of the common biomedical waste treatment facility who provides services to clinical establishment well taxable. Forward charges liable to pay supplier. Of course, their aggregate turnover should be exceeds the threshold limit for registration. Of course. Further, my dear friends, services by way of health care by a clinical establishment, an authorized medical practitioner or paramedics are exempt from GST, provided that nothing in this entry shall apply to the service provided by a clinical establishment by way of providing rooms having room charges exceeding rupees 5,000 per day to a person receiving healthcare services. That means a patient who taking the treatment by admitting in the hospital, inpatient, he stayed in the hospital for curing his diseases or healing purpose, he is staying in hospital as inpatient. Room rent, if it is more than rupees 5,000 per day per room, is taxable, except carefully, except incentive unit, critical care unit, incentive cardiac care unit, neonatal incentive care unit, that means ICU. If it is patient in ICU, even the room rent charges rupees 10,000 exempted. Otherwise, inpatient taking the treatment in the hospital other than the ICU, room rent above rupees 5,000 is liable for GST. Room rent exceeding rupees 5,000 except ICU per day per patient charged by hospital shall be taxed to the extent of the amount charged for the room rent at the rate of 5% GST without ITC. This means no GST will be applicable if the room rent is less than or equal to rupees 5,000 per day per room. Incentive care unit ICU rooms will be exempt from 5% GST. There won't be any tax. Is clear, my dear friends? Further, FSSAI As you are aware of that, Food Safety and Standard Authority of India provide these services by way of licensing, registration and analyzing and testing of food samples supplied by the food samples provided by the recipient. Testing and sampling services, analyzing services, testing services provided by FSSAI is now taxable. Exemption omitted from 18th July 2022 onwards. Got the clarity, my dear friends? FSSAI exemption has been omitted. Whatever they provide the services is taxable forward charge. Goods and Service Tax Network, who provide these services to central government, state government unitaries, is taxable now with effect from 18th July 2022. The exemption was granted to GTN, Goods and Services Tax Network, has been omitted. Exemption has been withdrawn from 18 July 2022. Further, my dear sir, exemption also be omitted for the services provided by way of slaughtering services, slaughtering houses who provide these services now is taxable from 18th July 2022 onwards. This much only. The exemptions amendment, which is applicable for our forthcoming exam of May 2023 for CA intern final or CMA intern final or CS executive or CS professional exam of June 2023 exam onwards. Thank you, my dear friends. Thanks for watching. Please make use of this and share it to your friends for enlightenment of their knowledge. And any doubt, most welcome to send me the WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number is available in my website rafiacademy.com. You are most welcome to ask doubts. Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you to one and all for watching.